We have our speaker also with us now. Welcome, Professor Sharma.
Thank you very much. Very good morning to all of you.
Very good morning, sir. Very good morning. A warm welcome on behalf of Rishihood University. I hope you all are safe and taking a good care of yourself. Amidst these unanticipated times where the transition required is taking a toll on all of us, I take pride in bringing this amazingly insightful session from the School of Education, Rishihood University, for you all to understand how can we make learning nowadays more engaging, more interactive, and more impactful. I am pretty sure that this will be really helpful for all the kids and educators out there. And feel free to leave your queries in the chat to us, and we shall get back with the answers. I would now hand it over to Professor Reva Raina, the Dean of School of Education, to introduce the guest of honor for the day, and we shall proceed with the exciting session. Over to you, Professor Reva.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Good morning and namaste to all. I am Dr. Reva Raina, Dean School of Education, Rishihood University. I hope you all are doing well and taking good care of yourselves. I would now like to mention something about the topic. The topic for the day is education during COVID-19. COVID-19, you already know, and everybody is aware about this, has given rise to many challenges, but at the same time, many opportunities as well. This virus is going to remain with us for quite some time, but then we have to move forward. We have to take stock of the provisions that we have. We have to take some such steps today to keep our future safe. But before I start the conversation, I would like to request all the participants to please use the chat box for asking questions. We would be having question and answer session towards the end of the conversation, and we'll try to address as many questions as possible. And now about the speaker. The speaker for the session is going to be none other than Professor Dr. C.V. Sharma, who is an eminent scholar, a very well-known academician in the country, and he is Professor of Education, and he has just completed his tenure as Chairman, National Institute of Open Schooling, which is popularly known as NIOS. As Chairman, NIOS, he has taken many good initiatives and successfully implemented all of them. So we would be looking forward to many such contributions from Professor Sharma. I, on behalf of Rishihood University, extend a warm welcome to Professor Sharma once again to be with us this morning. It is really an honor. And I also welcome all the participants. So without much ado, may I now request Professor Sharma to please share his views on the subject with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Namaskar to all. Very good morning. As Dr. Reva Raina has already mentioned, the topic for the day she has decided is education during COVID-19. In fact, we are talking about COVID-19, Corona, and its implications on education. I would say the topic should be education through distance mode. Whether during Corona, COVID-19, or otherwise, what we are actually aspiring is how to make distance education more effective and as an alternative or as a blended mode. Before I really talk about what will be the scenario in education during COVID-19 that present time, let me give you some feedback. Maybe if I can share with you, just at this point of time, the new education policy is being considered by the central cabinet, and maybe by the end of the day, you will be able to read the the national education policy, where distance education this time has got some prominence. A special chapter is on ICT and education, especially ICT, distance mode, open schooling. Thank God we have recognized the importance, the relevance of distance mode education education through ICT and with the use of different media and technologies. What is the goal? What is the goal, objective of any education? What do we do in a classroom? Right from class 1 up to the PG level. We go and transact a curriculum. We transact some content, and the teacher aspires to reach out to all the learners, all that he or she has to share with the students. What he or she as teacher decides that this is the syllabus, and this according to me is the important aspect or the important aspects of what I think should be shared with the learners, which would be important in their life as far as content is concerned and skill is concerned. We are preparing, or we prepare our learners for certain jobs, either intellectually, academically, or for some job skill. Now, whether we can do it in a face-to-face mode or with the use of media and technology, I'll be using these two terms, media and technology, together all the time, because neither media alone nor technology alone would be able to carry our content. A teacher in the classroom is a complete package. Knows the content and also has the skills to transact the content or share the content, reach out the content to the learners. But when we try to do it through distance mode, we have to think of various media methods how to reach our content. Now, education during COVID-19, a few important things are to be mentioned. Suddenly, after 20th March, when the government said you cannot call students to the classroom, all of us, all academics across the country, across the world, right from class 1 to PG level, started thinking of various methods to reach out to our learners. It's not a homogeneous group. Imagine a 6-year-old child sitting before a television or a computer or hearing a radio program, and on the contrary, a postgraduate level learner sitting before a computer or a television or a radio. Would both the groups or both the learners be the same? No. So now, as a teachers teaching during COVID-19, what do? It's, when we say education during COVID-19, it's not a monolithic term which can have one definition. It will have different definitions. COVID-19 to 6 to 9, 9 to 11, 11 to 14, that is the elementary, 14 to 18, 18 upwards, that is college, or the mature students. We are doing two things. One is blended learning. We tell our students always, read this portion from a book, a textbook, and rest I will discuss with you. In a classroom, we go and say, I'm going to start chapter X, and we reinterpret, represent the content in the chapter and add certain other things, examples, to make the content clear to the learners. What do we do in a distance mode? Everything is through distance. Even the written portion, we don't meet our learners. Distance education normally says, if we have a course of say 30 hours, 10% of it will be face to face. So we have the option of meeting students for 3 hours. So we cannot really transact the whole content. Similar would be education during COVID-19. So what do we need to understand? We are not translating the classroom into distance mode. Both have entirely different dynamics. Both have entirely different dynamics. We must understand this. So Dr. Reva Rana mentioned that I have just expired my term as chairman, National Institute of Open Schooling. We had the privilege of training 13 lakh in-service teachers during this period, and I had great experience interacting and planning the program. Training through distance mode, teaching through distance mode is not exactly teaching or training in a classroom situation. I don't know. I'm looking at the faces on my screen. Someone is 18 or 19 or 20. Someone is 45, 50. How do I address both these groups? The 20, 21, 22 would have different experience set compared to the one who is 50 or 55. When you teach on a distance mode platform, you must realize you are open to a very wide audience. When you are teaching to your students over Zoom, don't forget the parents also may be looking at the screen and watching what is this teacher doing. So distance mode is never to a homogeneous group. We cannot assume that my class, say BA first year, approximately 18, 19 to 20, 21 will have this set of experiences. So I will use these examples to explain the content that I want. My audience here is from something like 20, 25 to 55, maybe more. How do I select my examples? How do I make my intervention, my lecture? I don't like to call it lecture. I'm doing an interaction with you. I'm sharing my experiences with you. In distance mode, we never lecture, we never teach. We share. How do I select my examples? I'm not looking, I'm looking at your faces, and you don't realize that I am looking at you or somebody else. You're looking at your camera. You're looking at your mobile. So you are not even paying attention to me. Someone is taking tea. How do you teach in this sort of situation is very, very important. The message I want to convey is everybody, the government, the institutions, the principals or the vice chancellors or the administrators have one objective. How do I reach out to my students? Please do it. Those who have never done it before are not trained to do it, because this screen is made for entertainment. This screen has been seen by one and all of us, as an entertainment screen. We always look at it for entertainment. Suddenly what we have been put in a situation is that this is a classroom. You look at it, be attentive, and learn what the teacher or the expert is talking to you. We have never been accustomed to sitting before a screen like a student. And this is a very old study. We have done it. Gabriel Solomon. Look at this name and look for references on the net. Gabriel Solomon. He did a very good, remarkable study between American and Israeli children. Long back, I think about 45 years. The American children learned very little from the screen. They were so exposed to the screen, to the television, that as soon as the television started, they relaxed. So some film will start or some soap will come. So it's not a place to be attentive. But now suddenly we have to tell our learners, better be attentive because I'm going to teach you. The Israeli children were very attentive because they were introduced to television for the first time as a classroom. So the results were entirely different between the two groups. Our children are already accustomed to looking at this screen as an entertainment medium. Now suddenly we are told, here is a platform, Zoom, on which you have to lecture. Children will be sitting on the other side and you better teach them. When the children opened the Zoom, they thought, okay, I have to, this, I'm so accustomed to playing on this screen. Now, what is this? Do you understand? Do you realize the difficulty that we are facing as sudden transformed teachers who have to teach online? We have not been trained to do it. We have been trained to teach in a classroom, to make a sort of lectures for ourselves, for school teachers. There is a whole format for the, higher education. It's open, but we have not been trained to really teach on a platform like this. I don't know how many of my viewers, teachers, learners are attentive, but I have to go on because I cannot stop. I have to smile. I have to keep you entertained and glued to the screen, because otherwise my student will go. In a classroom, you have attendance. Here you have no attendance. You bore a learner and the learner goes away. In a classroom, this doesn't happen. Now, going back to some of the points that I mentioned, the objective of teaching learning is to achieve certain learning objectives. Where you are in a classroom and you have a captive audience on open platforms, you don't have that. Part of your teaching is convincing your audience, your learners, look, I'm going to talk something very important, either from the perspective of certification, your examination, assessment, or in your life. I'm going to transform your life. Better be attentive for during this lecture, because this will give you a tip which will change your life. Somehow I have to keep you interested in this, and that is a very, very difficult job for every distance educator who teaches online or through distance mode. And remember, in a classroom, as I said, teacher is a full package. Decides on the content, decides on the stories, decides on the anecdotes that one would mention in the classroom, goes to the classroom and does it. Acts, dances, cracks a joke. What do you do on a television? We are a team. I do only the speaking part. My producer behind the camera tells me, sir, you better don't behave like this on the camera, because this is not the way you behave behave on a camera. So change your mannerism. I remember long back, for 35 years back, we were making one of the first programs for IGNOU, and that was a mathematics program. The producer was a Tamilian. I was only assisting him, trying to learn the tricks of production. And the expert mathematics teacher was a Punjabi. And he will all the time say, 2 square 2 is equal to 7 square 2 is. Now the producer asked me, what is he saying? I said, I can't understand. So finally, when we recorded and went back to the studio, to the editing room, he was saying all the time square instead of square. Now, when this reaches a Punjabi speaker, he or she would be able to understand, but a Tamil speaker or speaker from any other language would not understand. Imagine the job of this producer who has to get a lecture delivered by a speaker of X language who has certain pull of the mother tongue, and produce the program. We had to finally discard this and get another speaker. There is a producer, editor, set, and everything. In a classroom, we are alone. So it's not that during COVID or through ODL, it's just translating classroom teaching. We don't do that. Distance mode is a group teaching. There's a whole team which does it. The teacher who decides on the content is definitely the master. The teacher is the master of the content, but how it will reach out to students, what medium to use, has to be decided by somebody else. Now, again, I will say it's not a monolithic term. Distance mode during COVID or after, life is going to be different. Ever after COVID or Corona, teaching learning will be very different. We have been working on various platforms. I am sure all my audience will know the SWAYAM platform. SWAYAM. During 15-16 to 2015-16 we planned, and during 2017, I think 7 July, the SWAYAM platform was launched. It's a massive open online course program. Like Coursera, edX, India decided that it will go for its own MOOC program, platform, and SWAYAM was launched. It's the largest today. Why did India decide to have its own platform? Because the content on edX, Coursera was not really for Indian audiences, Indian learners. Similarly, where we have lectures on science, technology, art and culture, school education, broadcast on these channels. Some of these channels are live now. But is it the same like teaching in a classroom or teaching on a television, teaching in a classroom or making a lesson for the computer? No. For a television program, just to give you one example, we normally stick to 22 to 25 minutes because that is the I'm sorry, I'm doing a turn on my mobile and there's a call, right? So it's not the same. You have to decide on the content and the matching technology. There are certain things which can be transacted better on a radio than through television. It's very difficult reading things on a screen. How long can you go on reading? We are accustomed, we are used to reading from a book. Close your eyes and think over what have you been trained to do from 6-year-old when you join class 1 right up to your college level, to read and decipher, decode the content or message that has been put in printed text. We have never been trained to decode the content from a television lesson. Have you ever been trained? No. Which are the messages that are put on television, on media platforms, and what does it signify? We have not been trained. A message through a book, a message through a radio program, a message through a television program, or a multimedia program, they are all different. Those who understand communication would tell you how you should plan your lesson and put it on your maybe computer or in a television program, or maybe just I was asked what should we do. We were planning in the ministry on how to use technology. What do you do to a 6-year-old child who is in class 1? We are struggling to decide. In fact, NCERT has already come out with a schedule for class 1 to 6, 8 to 9, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12, with various 1 month schedule for online education. What do you do to a 6-year-old child? You tell a story. What do we do? In class 1, we only develop language, literacy skills. We develop vocabulary. How would it be if we have so many stories from all parts of the country just retold on the radio and put it before the children to be heard with parents who will then go and interpret that for children? Education during and after COVID will be different in the sense that we are first time getting accustomed to a blended teaching. Classroom teaching alone or teaching learning online alone will not suffice. We have to have a blended mode. In higher education, we have already done it. 20% of the total load one can do online. You can get transfer of credit. I wonder if you know that if you are studying in X university or a place, you can do any course from any other university on SWAYAM, and 20% of the total load you would be able to transfer and get on your certificate. So that UGC has already done.
Yeah.
I wonder that if we can do that for the school education. If we have to train children for lifelong learning, why are
So can I interrupt you for
yeah,
for a
please,
minute? Sorry.
please go ahead.
Since you're mentioning about the learners and they're not being used to this kind of learning, many students are not experienced as online learners. So this is leading to dissatisfaction with their academic experience. So how can we develop or maybe improve students' capacity to adapt to this change? Since you were mentioning about it, so I thought the question came up just now, so I thought I must address it to you so that, you know, simultaneously the participants get an answer also. Thank you so much. Please continue, sir.
Open the mic for everybody. Let anybody just interpret whenever. See, what have been online. If teachers are not trained, they will not be able to do their job, and they will make a mess, within quote mess. Their message will not reach. In a classroom, what happens? Some are good teachers, some are not very good teachers, but then students manage. They know what are the qualities and what they can get out of the teacher, so they appropriately utilize or use the teacher. What do students or learners do online? So I think it has to be first a training for teachers to teach online. One, because you have to understand it's not a captive audience. One, you have to understand what you have to convey and what will be the best medium. Second, you have to train the learners too. Why would a learner like to sit before a television screen and listen to the lecture for hours? You have to understand, or you have to first tell, you have learning objectives, so you will have to make clear you must watch this television program or you must hear this radio program, because this will help you do this after you have heard. You go to a classroom, we go to a classroom and just lecture. My learners or my students are never told after this lecture what, why should you be in this class. Here I have to do that every time, because otherwise why would my learners, which is very diverse, which is very large, sit before a television or watch a computer program for me if they don't know what are they going to get. So what I'm saying is, one, teachers must be retrained.
I have
the
a
teachers
question.
in higher education are not trained, but they have to be told how you should approach your learners for online teaching. Yes, Professor Raina, you want to?
Sir, one more question has cropped up just now with regard to this, since you are mentioning about teachers training. So what measures do you think can be taken for building this capacity of teachers to make them better skilled and prepared for future as well? Thank you, sir.
See, I think because this whole topic is very open, I will answer this in two aspects. One is for the school education. The school education training has to be made more relevant for online teaching. Every teacher perhaps will require some training for designing, developing online courses, online material, online assessment, everything. So perhaps some component of media and technology, media and communication will require to be included. So teachers must, as a compulsory component, just as we had included language across curriculum. I think I have been fighting for this, and this has been included. That language is not a monolithic term again. You don't only teach English, Hindi or Tamil. You need to teach English in physics, Hindi in chemistry, and one must realize the importance of language across curriculum, and that is why it has been included. I think media needs also to be very small component. I know my B.Ed curriculum is very overloaded, but then we need to include some component of understanding media. How do you convey, how do you communicate over a distance mode platform? This teachers will require less in higher education, more in school education. Higher education, we normally only do hand holding, in the sense that we refer to sources and students go and study on their own. They have already been trained to access sources of knowledge, and that's what I was saying. From class 1 to up to 12th class, we only teach them language, and how can you access sources of knowledge. Once they are ready, they come to college. We only mention, just like I mentioned right now, that please go and see Gabriel Solomon. I did not talk about the details. I expect my learners or my viewers who are students to go back and refer to Solomon and read for themselves. So I think these will have to be brought into. Training part is important.
Can I ask you one more question, sir, since you
Yeah,
are mentioning? So we all are well aware that there is inequality in connectivity. You're talking about using technology and devices. All students and teachers do not have enough connectivity and devices at home. So this digital divide, somebody has asked this question, so I'm repeating it. This digital divide remains very, very strong. So under such a scenario, what other provisions do we have to cater to the needs of these students as well as teachers? Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
I don't really agree with the concept of digital divide. I think some 12 years back, we did a radio experiment. I went to a remote area in Rajasthan with a small antenna and a radio. The antenna could receive signal. We had a small solar battery and the radio worked. It never failed. Two things often people say: no connectivity and no electricity. We have been able to overcome both these. We have sets across through which we can reach out. One. So don't tell me connectivity is an issue. For my viewers and learners, I want to share this. India is the only country in the world which could afford a satellite for education. No other country could afford this. We launched a satellite in 2004. We started planning for it in 2002. 2004, we launched educational satellite, EduSat. Read about it. It cost us crores. The capacity of this channel was that we could have a channel for each class, each subject. Class 1, Hindi. Class 1, Tamil. Class 1, Telugu. Class 1, Environment Science in Tamil, in Telugu. It had tremendous capacity. It was a multimedia channel. This country used only 10% of the capacity of this satellite and let the satellite die. This is shameful. This is shameful. We must, as academics, shout. We were never given this opportunity. Every institution, government or private, should have been given a connectivity, and we could have made use of it. We did not. So again, transponder time, satellite time is no issue for us. Again, we have been given time. I wonder if you people remember the very first speech of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji in the parliament was, we will reach out to all the South Asian countries. Yeah. That was a great idea. We had Bengali speakers in Bengal and Bengali speakers in Bangladesh. Imagine if all of Bangladesh, the complete Bangladesh, studies the content designed and developed by India. They don't have the capacity. So I think India is well prepared to reach out to all learners, not only in India, in South Asia, in their own mother tongues. One. Two, technology wise, connectivity wise, and electricity wise. We are completely prepared. Let me tell you about another experiment. I think it's important if you people know and dig out and study about it. 2004, when we launched the satellite, Arjun Singh ji had taken over as Minister for Education. And he had a dream, what can you do for my constituency? Indira Gandhi National Open University went and put up a SIT in every school. Satellite interactive terminal in every school of Sindhi district, the district from where he was MP. I'm deliberately mentioning this. Don't confuse or don't let the educational decision be influenced by politics. We set up a studio at Jabalpur. Would you believe every school of Sindhi district got uninterrupted teaching from Jabalpur studio for full year, 1 year that he was the education minister. If we have the will, we can do it. If India has the will, India can do it. We don't have the will.
I agree with you, sir. So there's a question from one Mr. Madhusudan. He agrees with you, and so do I. And the question is that please let the viewers know the difference between digital divide and knowledge divide. So your take on this, sir, please.
Yeah, see, again, I will say that content is not again uniform for all groups. I've already talked about digital divide. What I will say, some people have accessibility to computer, some have access to radio, some have access to television, but we have to decide which will be the most appropriate technology for which group of learners and which domicile, which state, which place we should reach out through television, radio or computer. Similarly, content is not a homogeneous term, not a uniform term, in the sense that content for the remote rural people, the content for school children in Tamil Nadu will be different to content for children in Assam or Manipur or Meghalaya, and that we have already done. So digital divide is one where children do not have access, all children do not have access to all technologies. We will have to decide on which technology to use to reach out to which learners, one, and two, similarly, content will have to be graded with examples, in the sense that content will have to be recorded, prepared with Bihari examples for children from Bihar and Tamil examples for children from Tamil Nadu. Now, this is not an impossible job. We have such large number of learners that the cost will be recovered even if we do that. I've already told you that satellite that we launched had the capacity to reach out to every child, two-way interaction. That EduSat had the capacity to two-way video interaction, and this was 2004. Similarly, we can design and develop content for all different age groups, all different area domicile, for different subjects. We are well equipped.
Thank you so much, sir. A very interesting question has come up. In the present scenario, the parent is also a teacher now. Suddenly all parents have become teachers, but less so for higher education. So do you have a message for parents watching you right now, please?
Yes, I have a very important message for parents. Please, please, please don't teach my children. That's not your job. That is our job. Let us teach your child. We are trained to teach. That is our job. Let us do that. Now, what we expect from them and what is that we require from you. As I told you just now, for a 6-year-old child, what are the learning objectives? Literacy skills, numeracy skills. We would design, develop and impart teaching. We would only expect parents to handhold and help them do the exercise, because so much of repetitive action is required during early age. Only their parents should do. See, there is a message for parents as well as message for those who are not distance mode teachers. If you don't understand media, if you don't understand online education, don't start designing your own lessons and imparting. I have seen many teachers from traditional mode who have quickly designed their own lesson and taught online. I have intruded, sat in the class and seen not all teachers are doing a very good online teaching job because they are not trained to do that.
Right, sir. So,
right? So for message for both parents, don't teach my children, just entertain them, keep them happy at home. That is your job. Our job is to teach. We will take care of it.
Thank you so much, sir. Point taken, and I'm sure parents will take a very, very serious note of it. So there's one more question on behalf of parents. Mr. Satyendra ji has asked this question, that use of mobile is being encouraged for children. So do you think it will not have a negative effect on their health and psyche also?
It is destined. It is destined. See, we are groping with these questions. We keep talking about Finnish school system and the brilliance of school system in Finland. Every child carries only a tablet to the school.
Yeah.
So the question of school, the load of the school bag is gone. The question of too much technology is gone. If future is of technology, I won't be able to say whether that's good or bad, but that is the future. We have to live with technology. Better start learning. Now, let me quickly repeat one thing. I told you, what do we do from class 1 to class 12? We only help our learners learn a language which is a tool to access sources of knowledge. So, when they go to the undergraduate classes, college, we expect them to use this language skill to read books, read good ideas, and form their ideas. Similarly, we have to train to decipher messages from the media and technology, use technology if that is the future tool. So better do it. And I don't think indiscriminate use of mobile, unlimited use of mobile will have an impact on your vision, your eyes. But if we do we study the book all the time? No. So similarly, we won't be using the mobile all the time. Let us use the mobile, or let the child use the mobile for a few hours to understand the dynamics of education through mobile. This is going to be one of the platforms for teaching learning. So why not learn it?
Yes, sir. So there's one more dimension that we will be touching now. People have this apprehension that labor market, or say potential employers or recruiters, they will have a sort of distrust of the quality of online learning. Maybe the skills they are looking for, it is an apprehension. What steps do we need to take to build that trust that online education can be equally skill oriented and beneficial for tertiary level students?
It's not only the distrust of the parents or stakeholders.
Public.
It is the distrust of the government as well.
Oh.
The government doesn't trust, because our politicians don't understand online education. Our decision makers don't trust online education. I remember 2015, there was a commission established. I was a member of it, Manoj Soni committee. We were 3 members. We gave a report on it. That report was never made public. Why is that report not public? We gave a report on online education. Government doesn't trust online education. Now suddenly, I have raised this question many times, and in fact with the Secretary of Education, and she was surprised. We had a distance education council. We wound it up and made it a bureau in the University Grants Commission. We said nothing, we don't require it. We did a great damage to the nation, because the government didn't understand distance education. Right? Arnab Chaudhary ji, your screen is showing me your fan, not your face. Arnab Chaudhary, I want to see you, please. This is distance education online. I want to see all my viewers, all my learners, all my co-travelers, that you are interested in what I am doing. In a classroom, you do that through your eyes. How do you do it on a television screen? It's so reassuring. Who is Pratima Singh? I see her smiling. I get the message that she is listening to me.
Yeah,
that is online education. Yep.
It is getting very interesting, sir. So there's a question from one gentleman.
I want to convince my viewers what I'm saying is true. As I've learned this as a distance educator. We are not teaching to the void. We are teaching to people, and we want feedback just as you want in a classroom. Yep.
Thank you so much, sir. That's the reason why we wanted you to talk to viewers and convince them that online education is a solution at the moment. And so there's one interesting question. Somebody is asking that what is the he perhaps is talking about physical education teachers. So what about their job opportunities in future if we insist on online education? That's his question, sir.
See, we have academia is most resistant to change. One sector which always brings about difference, new knowledge, new ideas, is so resistant to change. We as teachers, we just don't want to change our set procedures. But remember, life has changed, society has changed. The society depends upon technology so much. So we will have to decide. Now, we have been training pilots through online education.
Exactly.
We have been training teachers through online education. Now, people always say, how can you do that? You have to do it in a classroom, standing, teaching to a student. There are certain things which are simulated, and we do it across the world. We have been training pilots, drivers, swimmers. Certainly, you will have to jump into water sometime, but to understand the theory part of it, you don't require that. Some portion can be done here. A part of it will have to be done in a playground. So a physical education teacher will not be doing 100%. And distance mode doesn't mean complete cut off. As I told you, 10% of face-to-face is compulsory. You can increase it. Like in teacher education, we made it at times 70%. 30% is content, 30% is practical. You do that in a classroom. But for the portion, like in teacher education, I have suggested, and I hope my idea would be accepted, in the HRD centers, why do we have 1 month's contact? Send them the material, pre-designed, let them study, be ready with the question, come for a week, ask your question, do interaction, go back, you get a certificate for your orientation or refresher. Why do we need to keep everybody at the HRD center for full 1 month?
Right, sir.
Nitesh, what are you reading? I can see Nitesh reading something. Yeah.
Sir, I have
not reading, sir. I was framing a question and posting it for you. I'm sure Professor Reva,
I'll wait for your question,
suitable. Yeah, if she found suitable, I'm sure she'll ask you.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Till then,
go ahead.
you frame it, Dr. Bansal. Till then, I'll ask one more important question. So there's a question from Ms. Manisha. She is a research scholar, and she is asking that no student should be left behind, as they have a right to education. So what provisions do we have for students with learning disabilities, or say special children?
So good. Thank you very much for asking this question. Anshul is here on the platform. I can see Anshul sitting. Anshul will know all this. We have hearing impaired children in our country. Would you be surprised if I tell you that there are 2 crore hearing impaired in the country? Who teaches them? Do you have a sign language interpreter in your classroom? They go to the classroom, sit there and understand nothing. Now what we did, we converted. In fact, I will take some of your time. I was in Raipur. I went to a hearing impaired institution. I've said this many times. Anshul will think I'm boring. But I went to Raipur. I went to this hearing impaired institution. And a student, when I had delivered my speech, the teacher said the student wants to ask you a question. I said, yes, why not? So I was looking for the student. There was no student. The teacher started saying. So I looked back and said, who? He said, C is the one. C can't speak. So C has signed me the question I'm asking you. And the question was, sir, if your language is English or Hindi and you are allowed to read and write in your language, why am I not allowed? The National Institute of Open Schooling decided to convert all its content in sign language. We now have a television channel dedicated to programs on sign language. Distance mode is most appropriate for differently abled children. And what we can do through distance mode, no other institution, you will never have enough number of students in a class where you can serve them. For inclusion, you must bring them to the school. You must bring them to an institution, because we need to make our institution inclusive. But then content will have to be reached to these through specialized mode, and only distance mode can do. For the hearing impaired, for the visually impaired, for the autistic, for the learning disability, how do you do that? Distance mode is very important, and by neglecting distance mode, we have done a great damage to this whole sector. We have about 5% of any country's population differently abled, and we have done nothing to make our schools inclusive for LD, learning disability, mental retardation, autistic children. What have we done? Distance mode can do it.
Thank you so much, sir. Our point taken, and I'm sure many people are interested in knowing about this. So this information will soon spread, and I'm sure it would be beneficial for students. Dr. Bansal, please go ahead with your question.
Sir, I think we must commend the kind of work what you have done being a chairman of NIOS, and more than after hearing you, I have realized that more than the children, I think it's a teacher who need to be trained about teaching online or through distance learning. So once we have trained teacher doing that, I'm sure that's kind of a problem what we see in day-to-day life will not occur. So my question is, we have been seeing the stakeholders, be it parents, be it the employers, or even the regulatory bodies. They have been always treating students who come from distance learning or online learning, with a kind of a different kind of a nature. And they have been talking about that people who go for online and distance learning is due to because they can't spend much time which is required for learning teaching process. So do you think this post-COVID-19, the thought process about this stakeholders towards distance or online learning will change?
Ideally, I will say yes, it will change, because we have suddenly been put in a situation where suddenly everybody started thinking, my God, what to do? But I'm getting old, I'm pretty old. I have seen many such things. I'm not very hopeful. Once we are back to normal, we'll forget everything. Just as we forgot all our experiments in the past, I had to remind to the ministry that we did a site experiment in 1975. Everybody says we are started doing this because everybody wants to prove to someone that, look, we are doing it now. No, we have done it for 50 years in India. 45 years back, 1975, 1st August to 31st September 76, we did a site experiment, satellite interactive technology experiment site in 6 states, and the target was primary children and primary teachers. We have experience of 45 years. So, and we forgot it. The result was that children learned so much more, we can reach out to many more, but then that was only a report. Unfortunately, the government is quite deaf. Governments, I should say. The government has its own method of acting and working. Once COVID is over, we'll get back to our normal life and we'll again forget what happened during COVID. I will be very grateful to God if the planners and the bureaucrats remember what happened during COVID and they stick to it, because lifelong learning will be important. Education through online platforms will be important. Blended learning has to be the default method of education in future.
I'm sure, sir. I completely agree with you. I think universities like us, Rishi Hood University, who continuously strive to, have an education for an impact, I think we should take this responsibility. And I'm sure all our viewers here who have joined us today will pledge and take up this responsibility that we have to take the education into the next level now and teach our students and colleagues and our stakeholders that what actually education is, which can be delivered through online. And we have leaders like Professor C.V. Sharma who will lead us and show us the path. And I'm sure we'll do that. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Nitesh, for the question.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you,
so much. Thank you. Please, ma'am, please.
There's one more important question that has come up. The question is, how can we sustain our core values during this crisis? Values like equitable access, accountability, academic freedom, social responsibility, preservation of culture, contribution towards national progress, regularity, punctuality, sincerity, and all these have gone for a 6, it seems, where people have these apprehensions. So your take on this, sir, please.
No, I mean, I won't say that all of these have gone for a 6. We at times forget it, but I think still our values are intact. We are quite Indian. हम भारतीय हैं, भारतीय, और दुनिया आज मान रही है. अब सब नमस्ते कर रहे हैं, हम नमस्ते करते रहे थे. हमको याद है जब मैं बिहार से आया था दिल्ली पढ़ने के लिए, तो हर टीचर को प्रणाम किया करता था, क्योंकि बिहार में आदत लगाई गई थी कि टीचर को देखते ही दोनों हाथ से प्रणाम करते थे. तो हर टीचर जवाब हेलो में, हाई में देता था, बड़े बड़े टीचर मेरे. तो यहाँ आदत लग गई हाई करने की. अब फिर से नमस्ते कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि अब सब कोई नमस्ते करता है. तो हमको लगता है कि हमारे वैल्यूज तो बचे हुए थे, लेकिन उसको कहीं नजरअंदाज कर दिए थे हम लोग पुनः.
तो मैं यही सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट, बट मैं यही जानना चाह रही थी कि आप यू हैड बेस्ट ऑफ एज फार एज एजुकेशन इज कंसर्न, बेस्ट ऑफ both the worlds, like आप हिंदुस्तान की बहुत अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी से पढ़े हैं, फिर आप यूके में गए. तो आप अगर दिल्ली में आकर वो कल्चर शॉक लगा, तो यूके में जाकर कैसा आपको क्या, what were the initial experiences that you had as a student?
I'll say that वहाँ कम कल्चर शॉक लगा.
अच्छा.
क्योंकि जब ये थोड़ा कहना अच्छा नहीं होगा, लेकिन लंदन उतरे तो लगा ही नहीं कि विदेश आ गए हैं.
अच्छा.
अंग्रेजी अपनी मातृभाषा की तरह हम जानते हैं और अंग्रेजी बोलते हैं, और अनफॉर्चुनेटली, जिसका कि मैं हिमायती नहीं हूं, मैं विरोधी हूं अंग्रेजी का, फिर भी अंग्रेजी के कारण ही हम ऊपर जाते हैं और अंग्रेजी के कारण ही हम विदेश जा पाए. तो अंग्रेजी तो हम मातृभाषा की तरह बोलते हैं. तो वहां उतरते ऐसा लगा नहीं कि हम विदेश आ गए हैं. हाँ, जब इंग्लैंड से हम घूमने फ्रांस गए, तब लगा पहली बार कि अरे कहाँ आ गए, ये तो विदेश है. तो पहली बात तो ये कि हम सभी भारतीयों को भारत में नहीं इंग्लैंड में रहने के लिए तैयार करते हैं, जो बुरा है. हमने अपनी भाषा पर कोई ध्यान नहीं दिया, और शायद अभी जो आपका पॉलिसी आएगा, आज शायद थोड़ी देर बाद आए, क्योंकि मुझे ऐसी खबर है कि आज कैबिनेट में डिस्कस हो रहा है नेशनल पॉलिसी, तो हम पुनः अंग्रेजी पर जोर दे रहे हैं, भारतीय भाषाओं पर नहीं. क्योंकि आपको याद होगा जिस दिन ड्राफ्ट आया और 3 लैंग्वेज फॉर्मूला पुनः बोला गया, तो तमिलनाडु से कैसी आवाज उठी थी. हम सबको प्रतिबद्ध हो करके अपनी भाषाओं को, मैं हिंदी नहीं बोल रहा हूं, अपनी भाषाओं को बचाना पड़ेगा. अगर अपनी भाषाएं नहीं बची, तो जितनी चीजें आप बोल रही हैं वो नहीं बचेंगी. और ऐसा नहीं है कि ये इसलिए मरी हैं क्योंकि हम नहीं चाहते हैं, क्योंकि पॉलिसी प्लानर्स नहीं चाहते हैं और उनको समझ नहीं है. लेकिन दोषी आप सब हैं, हम भी हैं. हमने आवाज नहीं उठाया है, इस पर लिखा नहीं है, इस पर बोला नहीं है, और इसके लिए खड़े नहीं हुए हैं. हमारी भाषाएं बचे. तमिलनाडु में ज्यादा लोग अंग्रेजी पढ़ते हैं और गर्व करते हैं, और अनफॉर्चुनेटली the language of success is English. So why would we not study? We would put our children to English studies, because that is the medium, the soul for success. Let us make all our Indian languages the medium for success. Our languages would prosper. Our form of knowledge, the corpus of knowledge, will come forefront, and the world would accept it. We'll have to.
राइट सर. सर, इसी संदर्भ में एक सवाल है, बहुत देर से पूछ रही हैं सोनिया जी, हिंदी की टीचर हैं, और उन्हें ये अप्रीहेंशन है कि राइटिंग स्किल्स उतने ही इम्पोर्टेंट होते हैं. तो हिंदी पढ़ाते वक्त राइटिंग स्किल्स हम कैसे पढ़ाएं जब ऑनलाइन शिक्षा का दौर चल रहा है? तो
हम सोनिया जी को देख नहीं पा रहे हैं, क्योंकि जो पूछ रही हैं प्रश्न उनको देखें भी तो ठीक होगा, लेकिन देख नहीं पा रहे हैं. मे बी वो ऑनलाइन आपको क्वेश्चन भेजी हैं. बट एनीवे, मैं जानबूझ के इंसिस्ट कर रहा हूं इस पर कि आप जब पढ़ाएंगे आगे ऑनलाइन, तो ध्यान रखिए कि आपको कनेक्ट बनाए रखना जरूरी है. और ये कनेक्ट ऐसा नहीं है कि डिस्टेंस में नहीं होता है. जो क्लासरूम में होता है वो यहां भी होता है. जब सरिता आनंद अपना सर हिला रही हैं, तो मैं उनको देख रहा हूं, एंड आई गेट रीअश्योर्ड कि मेरा स्टूडेंट, आई विल कॉल स्टूडेंट, मेरा व्यूअर, मेरा लिसनर हमसे कनेक्टेड है और रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहा है, जो आप क्लास में करते हैं. फिर से आप दोहराइए उनका क्वेश्चन. सुनिए
जी, उनका सवाल था कि राइटिंग स्किल्स हिंदी में खास तौर पे हम बच्चों में कैसे उनको प्रैक्टिस करवाएं और उनको इम्प्रूव करवाएं, अगर हम ऑनलाइन शिक्षा पर मतलब जोर दे रहे हैं, ऑनलाइन पढ़ाने के. मैं
ये कहूंगा कि हमने अपना एमफिल किया था जेएनयू से 87-89 में, और इसी विषय पर था, लैंग्वेज टीचिंग थ्रू टेलीविजन. टेलीविजन इज अ वेरी गुड मीडियम फॉर डेवलपिंग राइटिंग स्किल. स्पीकिंग और हियरिंग तो है ही, राइटिंग के लिए बहुत बढ़िया मीडियम है. यू ओनली नीड टू हैव अ प्रॉपर प्रोजेक्शन. तो मैं पूरी चीज तो यहां नहीं एक्सप्लेन कर पाऊंगा, और हम ये भी नहीं कर रहे हैं कि 100% बच्चे राइटिंग स्किल ऑनलाइन सीखेंगे, टेलीविजन पर सीखेंगे, परंतु मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि जो रेमेडियल होगा, जो प्रैक्टिसिंग है, जो रेपेटेटिव है, वो टेलीविजन के माध्यम से हम करा सकते हैं। और बिल्कुल इसके पॉसिबिलिटी है, और हमारे पास टेक्नोलॉजी भी है। आप थोड़ा एक्सप्लोर करिए तो आपको पता चलेगा कि हिंदी लिखने की कला, दो लिटरेसी स्किल एंड एज अ प्रोफेशनल लिटरेरी राइटिंग, दोनों की सुविधा टेलीविजन से उपलब्ध हो सकती है। एंड इफ यू हैव द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ रेडियो एंड कंप्यूटर, तो सोने में सुहागा होगा।
सर, ऐश्वर्या जी एक सवाल पूछना चाह रही हैं। ऐश्वर्या, प्लीज गो अहेड विद योर क्वेश्चन।
Thank you, ma'am. So, sir, I've been listening to great thoughts. Thank you for that. First, I've been listening to a lot of things. But my question is that we as educators, how can we help our students to maintain their motivation levels, to maintain their sanity levels, and probably help them become more efficient to accept the changes going on around? So, like, this is also one of the very important life skills, which will not only help them professionally, but personally as well. So what role do we have as educators there?
I think that's not really a very relevant question in terms of education through distance mode, online COVID-19. That's what we do in education anyway. One is we transfer content, we make our learners learn the content and achieve the learning objective, the learning goals. But always our objective on the sidelines is to maintain the interest of the learners. Now, in classroom or through distance mode, in distance mode, it is more difficult. Just as you will see right from the beginning, I have been doing that. I have been using different techniques to keep you here. आपको एक बार ऐसा लगेगा कि अरे ये जो बोल रहा है, मे भी सर नहीं है, जानते नहीं है, मैं चली ही जाऊंगी तो क्या होगा। लेकिन एक बार आंख को शर्म होती है कि अगर शर्मा जी ने देख लिया होगा मुझे और कहीं मैं चली गई, तो आपको जानना होगा एज ऑनलाइन टीचर कि आप कैसे अपने बच्चे का इंटरेस्ट मेंटेन करेंगे, या अपने व्यूअर्स का, बच्चे तो नहीं करते हम लोग, अपने व्यूअर्स का इंटरेस्ट मेंटेन रखेंगे। तो आपको करते करते ये पता चल जाता है कि ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन का क्या डायनेमिक्स है, वो सीख जाते हैं।
सर, मैं एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण क्वेश्चन पूछना चाह रही हूँ जो काफी लोगों ने पूछा है। How prepared are we when it comes to the examination system in this changed scenario? Do we need to make some changes? How prepared are we, and what is the way forward?
See, I will say again, don't think of a prototype of paper pencil when you think of online education. The best of universities have home assignment. MIT, Princeton, Sorbonne, they give home assignment. आपका 12 बजे रात तक का समय है, आज ये क्वेश्चन का आंसर लिख करके और आप अपलोड कर दीजिए, टीचर पढ़ लेगा। हम अभी भी डरे हुए हैं कि कॉपी कर लेगा स्टूडेंट कहीं से। हम जेएनयू से पढ़े थे और हम लोगों का 50% असेसमेंट असाइनमेंट पर था, लिख करके और टीचर को सबमिट करना पड़ता था। कोई कभी मदद नहीं करता था, अपने ही लाइब्रेरी जाके किताब खोजते थे, अपनी ही बुद्धि से लिखते थे, और हम ही में से कुछ लोग बहुत अच्छा लिखते थे जिसको A+ आता था, और हम जैसे कुछ खराब लिखते थे तो B आता था। तो मेरा ये कहना है, ट्राई तो करो, हर स्टूडेंट चोरी नहीं करेगा, किसी से कॉपी नहीं कराएगा, और हर कोई किसी से लिखवा के सबमिट करेगा, ये नहीं पॉसिबल है। बेस्ट यूनिवर्सिटीज कर रहे हैं। 1, 2, we have experimented with online education, even long answer type. We are doing, you will be surprised, we have assessed 1 crore people for National Digital Literacy Mission, NDLM, from NIOS. वो पॉसिबिलिटी है। हमारा जो मेंटर होता है वो NIOS में बैठता है, और स्टूडेंट एग्जाम अक्रॉस द कंट्री देते हैं, में बैठते हैं जी। और मेरा मेंटर यहाँ NIOS में बैठे हुए देखता है और उसको परीक्षा देने देता है। हम वहां तो कर रहे हैं, लेकिन एकेडमिया में आके नहीं करते हैं। आई विल अगेन रिपीट द सेम क्वेश्चन, एकेडमिया इज मोस्ट रेसिस्टेंट टू चेंज। हमको जैसे ही कहा जाता है कि आप ऑनलाइन करिए, हम सब टीचर खड़े हो जाते हैं, ये कैसे होगा, ये नहीं हो सकता।
अब तो
ये तो
करना ही
बिल्कुल
पड़ेगा।
पॉसिबल।
So this
हम
is the plus.
लोगों को ओपन टू चेंज होना होगा, अडॉप्ट करना पड़ेगा, एक्सपेरिमेंट करना पड़ेगा, और फिर ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन आएगा।
So that is why in the beginning itself I said that COVID has brought in many challenges, but at the same time many opportunities as well. So now we are forced to do it whether we like it or not. So sir, before I proceed further, Dr. Bansal has one more question, I think. Dr. Bansal, please go ahead.
No, ma'am, it's not about me. There is a colleague of us who is there, Mr.
Yeah,
Bharat.
You may ask the question. You may ask the question.
Yeah, he wanted to speak something about, about online and digital education, Bharat Reddy. So, Mr. Bharat Reddy, if you can, be precise about it. We are already running out of time. I will try and unmute you. And if you can share what you want to share here. But just a request is just be precise about it, sir. Dr. Bharat, can you hear us?
I can't see Bharat. Is he online?
Yes,
he's been
sir,
asking
he
this.
is.
Yeah, Bharat Reddy, I can see you. Yeah, please go ahead. Ask your question.
So his question is about.
You will have to unmute yourself.
I did that for him, sir, but I think he has some problem with his connectivity.
No, he will also have to do it himself. You might. No, Bharat is muted. I can see Bharat is muted. Bharat, you unmute your mic. Yeah, now you go ahead.
I think maybe we are not connected with him as of now.
No, Bharat, I
anyway.
can see, and he has unmuted himself as well.
Yeah, I did that, sir, from the background, but I think.
So, Dr. Bansal, why don't you ask the question till then on his behalf? He has asked about digital education, it seems.
How can we make sure the students can understand what things we can implement while teaching through online education as a professors and lecturers, etc.? That's what he wanted to speak on, actually, I believe. So maybe if we can hear it from sir, what he wants to add up on that.
See, what I will say is, for everybody, maybe Bharat, somebody can tell him later on, there is nothing we cannot teach online. It's just that some topics, some subjects, some disciplines may require more technical input. The recording of it, the preparation of lessons may be more difficult, but there is nothing I would say which cannot be taught online. That is why I gave you the example of training of pilots. It's such a crucial job. If you are not properly trained, you can kill hundreds of passengers in one go. But then we have trained pilots, we have trained drivers, not 100%. There the input will be 50% or maybe 30%. But that component must be looked into. We have simulated machines or gadgets where they are trained to become pilot. What is that? Leave it to them. They'll practice it. How many hours can you hand over the pilot the aircraft? So you do that anyway. What I'm saying is there is nothing that we cannot teach online, just that we will have to do a very definite planning, maybe long-term planning, and then design a course. Once designed, that will do a good job.
So there is one more apprehension and the question, I would say. So do you apprehend some dip in the achievement level of students? The reasons could be many: lack of devices or connectivity at home, lack of motivation, lack of conducive environment at home, because generally people have one laptop or two laptops at home, and the father also has to attend meetings, the mother also has to work on laptop, the child is left without any device. So this may result in not attending the classes, and the academic opportunity online is not available to the child all the time. So this may result in some kind of dip in the achievement level of children. So do we need to prepare parents for it? Do you have a message for parents if something like this? Do you think, if you agree with what has been
See,
said?
I don't think this is now becoming a cliche that there is just one mobile in the house or just one laptop and father has to do the job and he also requires. I think that I must have heard this on n number of television programs that you are giving assignments on over the net and you are holding online classes. How would children attend? Where there is a will, there is a way. We can divide time. And did you not go to drop your child to the bus stand?
Yes.
So who compensated for that time? You had to go to the bus stop to drop your child or pick up your child, or in the evening you had to sit with your child to get the homework done. Every parent was complaining, आप लोग इतना काम दे देते हैं कि हमको बाजार से जाके लाना पड़ता है, कराना पड़ता है, आप वो भी नहीं करना चाहते हैं, आप ये भी नहीं करना चाहते हैं। तो मैं तो कई बार कहता हूं कि मेरी टीचर्स जो पढ़ाती हैं उनके भरोसे पैदा किया था बच्चा, वो बेचारी 40 बच्चों को संभाल सकती है, आप मेरे 2 बच्चों को घर में नहीं संभाल सकते हैं। आज बढ़िया हुआ है, कोविड हुआ है, जरा उनको संभाल के दिखाइए एज पेरेंट्स। हमारी टीचर्स तो संभालती रही हैं 40-40 बच्चों को, और कभी वो लोग कंप्लेन नहीं की।
Very true, sir. So, on a very positive note, the one last question: where do you see educational system in India in next 10 years in terms of quality and preparedness for sustenance in eventualities like COVID-19?
I see many young faces, so I don't want to be negative. लेकिन इंडिया में एजुकेशन में चेंज बड़ा स्लो है, and we are very resistant. One, because our professional bodies are not really professional. The National Council for Teacher Education does not have an academic for the last 6 years. Bureaucrats manage NCT. They decide how teachers are to be trained. The CBSE has always have a bureaucrat as head. तो एक मेरा आंसर तो ये होगा कि हमारे यहाँ चेंज बड़ा मुश्किल है, क्योंकि नॉन एकेडमिक्स ही मैनेज कर रहे हैं एजुकेशन और वही डिसाइड कर रहे हैं। लेकिन सारे इतने यंग फेसेस हैं, आई डोंट वांट टू साउंड वेरी नेगेटिव, आई सी अ वेरी ब्राइट फ्यूचर. वी हैव द ब्राइटेस्ट लॉट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. आई हैव बीन सेइंग दिस ऑन मेनी प्लेटफॉर्म्स. हाउ इज इट दैट नन ऑफ आवर IIT is amongst the best 100, but all the IITians are best in the world? They get job anywhere for an asking. We have a very bright set of children and very bright set of institutions. They may not be in first 100 for reasons best known to us, because we don't comply with the scale. But then what I believe is there is a tough fight going on at the moment between the public and the private education. The public education has completely fallen and lost the war. In 10 years, I see a great boom in private education. The private education will take over, which will be very qualitative, competing with the world, but very expensive. The rich and the affluent will have the best education of the world in India. The poor will suffer, like those who send their children to the Jilla school, the municipal school, know for sure their children are going to land up nowhere. Children of those who will go to public universities will know the fate accompli. They will land up nowhere. But those who have the money will have the money to send their children to private institutions. Some of the private institutions are going to be amongst the best 100 world institutions. I see a change. I see a bright future for some of the Indian institutions, but not public, private institutions.
Thank you, sir. So we are not disappointed at all. As long as people like you are there, we are very optimistic, and we will be successful and fight it out. And so thank you so much, sir. It was great listening to you, and we have many takeaways from this session. It was indeed a very, very informative and enlightening one. And I, on behalf of Rishihood University, all the members of Rishihood University, thank you so much, sir. बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे बातचीत करना. Or I must thank the audience also, all the participants also, for asking those thought-provoking questions and how wonderfully you answered them. And as I said, that we have many takeaways. I'm sure parents, teachers, students, all must have got benefited because of this talk. We will continue to hold such sessions again in future. So we thank you once again, sir, for being with us and taking out time out of your busy schedule for us. Thanks a lot. And thanks to everybody. Namaste.
Thank you all. Thank you all. In distance education, we are grateful to all the viewers and listeners. So thank you all very much for sparing your time and for the patience that you had to hear the long monologue on net. Thank you all very much. Thank you. My privilege. Namaskar.
Thank you,
once
sir.
again,
Thank
sir.
you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much.